2, 1. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another great episode of the Historically Haunted Vodcast right here on Facebook, 2 years running. Maybe you caught the write-up that New York Times did with me. I sat down and did a little write-up with them back in November. So I'm excited because my guest list has been growing. I love all my guests. I don't consider small, big people, whatever. But I'm excited about my next two guests. You guys know me. I'm a big Stephen King fan. We wanted sponsors for the show. Someone who's been in the show for a long time. Maybe she's watching now. So people are going to be checking in. I see comments coming. Jean Tewksbury. Jean Tewksbury is the she works at the one and only International Cryptozoology Museum. She's the Eastern Puma researcher, member of the Mountain Lion Foundation, and she's also the co-founder of the International Cryptozoology Zoology Society. And of course, like I said, Lauren Coleman, he looks for everything from Loch Ness Monster to Bigfoot. He is the guru. He's been everywhere. He's looked for Dover Demon, the Mothman, the Wendigo, Bermuda Triangle. She works with him at the one and only International Cryptozoology. So thank you, Jean Killer, for the sponsor. So about my first guest, Mr. Greenberg, David Greenberg, very cool cat. I talked to him. Actually, we get started through a group chat about Pet Cemetery. And we ended up talking, and that is him sitting on Zelda's bed. I believe that's Zelda's bed from the original Pet Cemetery. He sent me some of these before the show. There's the kitchen that they did in the armory, in the Bangor Armory. That's where I actually got my filming permit to film some documentaries I want to do this summer. And there's some work to the house, of course, that was set on fire. Judd's house, where, come on, stupid Wi-Fi, work for me. Here's the house picture. Yes, it's kind of black and white, but there's the house at the end of Pet Cemetery when he's in there and Gage kills the fucking dude. That's the house on fire, dude. And here's the truck Donnie Green will be watching. Donnie Green drove the red truck in Pet Cemetery that killed Gage. That's refurbished. There's the Orenco truck right there, and that's what it looks like now. Refurbished, ready for the road. There's him and Donnie Green. So without a further ado, David Greenberg, author, screenwriter, director, brother.
Hey.
How are you, my friend?
I'm doing really well, thanks. Nice to see you. Great to be here.
I love it. What was your shirt real quick? Let's bring that on.
Stuntman's Association.
I'm not
really a stuntman, but I was in LA a couple years ago and I went to the Stuntman's Association, saw a demonstration and felt like supporting them. So I got a shirt. It also looks kind of cool.
It does look cool. It's badass. I got to ask you real quick before we bring Vincent on. Is that Zelda's bed that you're sitting on?
That is Zelda's bed. And yeah, I knew this was going to come up. I might as well get it out of the way first. When the shoot was over, they offered to give me Zelda's bed.
Shut the front door.
And I couldn't do it. Honestly, it's bigger than my apartment. I mean,
it's huge.
It's huge. It's not a normal size bed. They made it extra big for effect. And, back then they didn't have. Yeah. I mean, they don't even make mattresses for this size bed. So.
350 thumb.
Yeah. So, if they had eBay or something back then, I might have taken it and sold it. But, I mean, it would be cool to have, but I didn't have any place for it back then.
No, that makes sense. So real quick, and I know you don't know him, but you guys are tied in the Stephen King universe because he did a lot of the makeup scenes. He's a makeup guru. When I say makeup, I mean like horror makeup. He does designs. He does animatronics. He did the scene in Finner on the bridge scene when the gypsy's getting into it with the fat dude, that white man from town. So he did a lot. This is some of his work. Vincent Gustani. Hope I said that right. I'm Italian. Look at that. Some killer work that he's done. That's his page right there. VGP Effects and Design Studios, guys, check it out. Some more work that he's done. Killer work. I got some more pictures after. I'm just gonna bring the man on. I'm gonna bring the man on real quick before I bring him on. What is this all about? Who's this hot chick in the background? You did this.
Oh, yeah. And you
can't. There it is. You are next to the camera. Yeah.
Yeah, there I am. That was a film that a friend of mine was doing, and he just wanted. He needed somebody to come in and hit on a stripper.
Oh, that's a
heavily tattooed and pregnant stripper. So
that's no shit. That's New York style.
Yeah.
So let's get my guest out of the VGP Productions. Bring him right in. Vincent, what's up, brother?
Hey guys, how are you?
Hey.
Good. How are you? Loving the Halloween shirt.
Thank you, buddy. And it's Guastini. You did it again.
My girlfriend's last name is Kiminiti. She's Italian. She's gonna fucking smack me after this. I know it. It's the main boy in me, man. It's the main boy in me. So you guys don't actually really know each other, but you
think so.
know that you're both part of the same Stephen King universe, so that's dope. But you guys have a lot of stuff besides that. That's a lot of your earlier work, both of you. You guys are both on the bigger and better things that I've seen. Real quick, I want to bring on some shit that Vincent. Let me see if I can do this without messing up. It's hard to bring it on for me. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
Check this out.
Whoa. Whoa.
That's from your latest, right, Vince?
That was actually last night. It was for a TV movie called Dante's Hotel. And I'm not going to get into the context of what that effect is. I don't even know if I'm allowed to show it, but I figured, fuck it. You know, I'm coming on a podcast. But I'm not, if I don't give details on who it is or what the death is, I figured, what the fuck? So I'll get yelled at later, but whatever.
We only got 20 people watching. Who cares? No one's going to say anything. Loose lips sink ships. People are already tuning in. Who's this here? I don't know if I know this person. My Wi-Fi is being slow. Christina Tim, don't know it. Puppets Forever. Anybody know her? No? All right. Well, she's just checking in.
I think I do. Yeah, I think that's a friend of mine.
Okay, very cool. She's coming on through the YouTube channel, which is killer. Happy Friday, my friends. Hi, David. Thanks for joining us. People are checking in. Hi, Vince. Nice to meet you. That's my girl, Heather. Fellow Italian. Yeah. So I'm going to start real quick since Vince joined us late. My second guest, I want to go right to him real quick, Dave, and I'm going to go right to you with the same question. Yeah. Dude, Vince, what got you started in this, man? What got you started? Was there a movie you saw when you were a kid? Did you like doing costumes and shit as a kid? Makeup and shit?
I was watching a lot of like Godzilla movies and Sinbad movies, Ray Harryhausen. So that got my first interest, sparked that. And then as I got into my later, like early to late teens, I started getting in touch with a makeup artist named Dick Smith. And this was already prior to the 80s movies, but really solidified as I saw the remake of John Carpenter's The Thing. So when I was in the movie theater, I saw the reaction to some of the audience members. One in particular where a guy stood up in his seat and he was like, Jesus effing Christ. When the blood test scene came up, and so that solidified my interest in makeup effects. Then from there, that's when I started a correspondence with Dick Smith, and then Dick Smith started kind of mentoring me through mail, and actually snail mail back then, believe it or not, and then through phone calls. And then I opened up my shop, just decided to open up a studio, and he started recommended me for work. And one of the big first studio films I did due to his recommendation was Last of the Mohicans.
Wow.
That's right. I want to name drop some of the stuff you've done, because you did Last of the Mohicans, you did Scary Movie, you did Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. I mean, those are called classics, stoner classics. So that just kind of got you started, and you said just roll with it. But I mean, the stuff you do is like, it's almost like Tom Savini, who's a god. You know what I mean? Like, I almost thought some of your shit, I go, that was like fucking, real quick, check this out. This is more of Vince's stuff. Look at that.
Whoa.
That's pretty cool, man. Look at that. That's the dude from Men at Work. Don't ever touch another man's fries. Look at that. Look at his ear.
That's Keith. That's Keith David from The Thing.
Yeah, Keith and David that's from also The Thing too. Yes.
Yeah, he's Requiem for a Dream. He was in. That's when we first worked together, and I just did a film with him called "It Comes from the Shadows," which was originally called Last Call, which is an upcoming movie, and that's the makeup look he has when he's going through portals of time. So it deformed him. So I got to do that on Keith David, and then that other creature you just showed was there was a PR campaign for DoorDash, and Darren Aronofsky produced that, and I worked with Aronofsky on Aftermath with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and then originally on Requiem for a Dream. And Scott Franklin, who just won the Oscar for The Whale, got me on that doing the creatures for that. So
that's cool, man. I actually work for DoorDash. That's funny. I guess she's here for you, brother. She's here for. She calls you the Puppet Master. I'm very punk first. I don't know. But yeah, she's here for you. That's fucking amazing because that's where it's at. I mean, we're all horror fans here. We're all, or just art fans. And Requiem of a Dream, very underrated movie. That movie when they get high and their pupils come out and stuff, and at the end, the two girls are having the thing and they tractor pull and all the old men in business suits come. What a crazy movie. Requiem from a Dream, man. Check that out. Requiem of a Dream. Check that out. It's very cool. So what's
it was more of a horror show behind the scenes. It was a very it was probably my most difficult project I ever to work on in my life was that one.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Me and Ellen Bernstein didn't get along, and there was a lot of behind the scenes stories on that.
No shit.
Yeah. So it was a hard project to work on.
See, from this side of it, we never see that. We just see the lights, camera, action. You don't see. It's just like anything else. You got coworkers. Sometimes they're assholes, they're thieves, they're whatever, and it's like anything else. That makes sense.
Well, I gotta thank Jennifer Connelly for getting me through that because she was the sweetie pie that every day got me to set and put me in a good mood because she knows what I was going through.
Actress. Oh my God, yeah, that's dope. And you're friends with Mary, the director of Pet Sematary.
Mary Lambert, yeah. She actually directed a streaming TV show years ago. She actually put me in a small part in it as a vampire king. A vampire king and like a mafia vampire king, of course. Look at me.
Yeah,
so I was like the Tony Soprano of vampires. And she's become a really good friend of mine. And she told me all the behind-the-scenes stories on Pet Sematary. So she's not only an old buddy, but, of course, I'm an immense fan of Mary Lambert.
Gotta be. And speaking of Mary Lambert, that's going to fit right into Mr. Greenberg. David, before we get started about you and Pet Sematary, which, obviously one of the biggest things that drew me to you, what say you? Save question with Vincent. What say you? What got you started into screenwriting, directing, and
almost the same answer. First, I have to say, not personally, but you said Dick Smith. He's the GOAT.
No shit.
I put him above Tom Saviani, I think.
Wow.
Well, I mean, Dick Smith was basically the Lon Chaney of our era, and he started a lot of careers. He started Rick Baker, helped Rick Baker.
Baker, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Werewolf, I think.
Yeah, Rick was sleeping on Dick Smith's couch, working on The Exorcist. So he really helped out a lot of people in the industry, and he died in his 90s, and every makeup effects person has a story about. He's the only person that you could call like an uncle or a father on the phone, except before 6 o'clock dinner time, and he would give you advice. He would help you out.
That's great.
And he would send long explanations and breakdowns of all the effects he's ever done. And nobody in the business has that type of time or that gracious, and it will never happen ever again.
That's so
awesome. We lost him a few years back, but he was in his 90s, and he was a wonderful man. He helped a lot of people. And I lean more towards fantasy and creatures. When I do gore, it's realistic, but it's always nice when I do get them. If I work on a studio film, like Letters of Iwo Jima, Flags of Our Father, or some other, I call it high class gore, and the lowbrow gore, tearing people apart and things like that is not in my brain, but I do it realistically or try to. Because that's what the job calls for. I'm doing it for a client, but I'm more about escapism, fantasy. So I lean towards more of the creature stuff. And Tom Savini was a big influence as a kid, of course, because of Grand Illusions. But I'm more like a Rob Bottin, Stan Winston, Rick Baker mentality when I attack fantasy creatures and things like that. So the gore thing isn't really my thing.
No, I see that. You must have more of a sci-fi, even like with Dogma and shit. Like it's almost more of a
exactly, yeah. Which is basically one of Kevin Smith's best work because it was sort of like a Terry Gilliam, a low-budget early Terry Gilliam movie, and because that was like a fantasy film, and we got to do the wings, which became my logo because I was already doing effects with, many big clients. But by the time I got to Kevin and that movie came out, the wings became sort of like the symbol of my company.
That's what represents on the logo of it.
Yeah, I guess.
That's where you get that from.
Back to your question. So much like Vincent, I was a lifelong movie geek. My parents were in entertainment to some degree, nothing big, nothing famous. My dad was a professional dancer. My mom was an actress.
Wow.
All that had stopped when I came along, but they really loved movies. And so from a very, very early age.
Well, you've been doing this since 95. You've been your films. I mean, the short film, The True Meaning of Cool, you won an award. You've been doing all this stuff. You've been doing over 60 screenplays. So yeah, it's deep with you, man. It's not just a passion.
It's very deep. Honestly, I always just thought it was going to be this phase I grew out of and grew up and got a real job. It just never happened. I really can't do anything else. So yeah, I did a lot of acting, a lot of acting throughout grade school up through college, and even every now and then. I'm actually supposed to be acting in a movie this summer, small part. Started making films.
Making your way to Maine. We talked a little bit.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get
making a chance to meet you.
Yeah, that would be really cool. My first couple films were animated.
No shit.
I did an animated.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Version of Frankenstein when I was like 9.
Oh, that's cool.
And then so my best friend and I pooled our money together and bought a used Super 8 film camera, and started making films with the friends. If you saw The Fabelmans, if anybody saw the Spielberg film, The Fabelmans, about how he got into film, it was exactly the same. I mean, there's a scene in it where in The Fabelmans where someone gets stabbed and thrown off a cliff, and it's a dummy. I did that exact same thing when I was 11. I like go like this with a knife to my little brother, cut, put the dummy in, throw him over the staircase.
Y'all are fucking psychotic. This guy's messing with blood and aliens. You're killing your brother. Like, holy fuck. And what do I king?
What I can't believe is that, my parents didn't say a thing. My little brothers always wanted to be in film, so I made them dead bodies. So here they are. I poured ketchup over my brother's brand new shirt. Nobody ever said a thing.
Parents like, they're playing. They're fine.
Sometimes I wish my parents weren't so supportive. But so I decided to go to college for film. I studied film in college. I went to film school, and they were like, "Yeah, great, do it." Yeah. And it was right after film school that I went up to Maine. I did a little low budget film that was shot in Maine called Signs of Life. Which I think is more famous now. I literally just found this out a couple months ago.
Wow.
Remember that band Counting Crows?
Yeah. Mr. Jones and Me, or Mrs. Jones, right?
Yeah. They got the name Counting Crows from that movie, Signs of Life. Yeah. Because
you guys heard it here first.
I saw it. Yeah. Just so. Yeah, and so did those movies. Then, I always wrote. I was always trying to sell screenplays. That's a whole other story. And 10 years ago, I went out and made a feature. And then a couple years ago, I produced a feature. And I guess that's what I'm going to continue doing. I mostly write. I have a ton of screenplays out there that people are still asking for. And
is that what this is right here?
What is that? This guy. I don't know if you've ever heard of. Celebrity boxing. This guy.
Yeah.
He was a child prodigy. He was featured in Sports Illustrated when he was 13 years old.
Grew up in the hood of the Bronx or some shit.
Yeah. Philly, outside Philly.
It's Philly. It's tough city.
And had a career-ending injury outside of the ring when he was 19. So now he does these fights with has-been stars and things like that.
Is that him in the gray pointing at your thing?
Yeah, him and Damon Feldman.
Okay.
His father worked with Muhammad Ali, stuff like that.
Cassius Clay.
Yeah, so a really great story, and it hasn't been made yet, but they're still pushing it.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. You got this too. You're sitting in the woods there. I love that. I love the scenes that you guys sent me, man. The shit you and Vincent both sent me of your work and stuff. I'm very intrigued, and I don't want to stick on it because I am a Maine boy.
Right.
Pardon me, beer. But we're gonna go around the room, and I want to start with Dave real quick. But I got to ask you, man. Before Pet Cemetery, have you ever been to Maine?
I had. I was in Maine when I was a little kid, like
No shit.
6 years old. Yeah, we had a vacation. Then in 1976, I actually just had to Google the town right before we got on. I went to summer camp. I went to summer camp at Hidden Valley Camp in Freedom, Maine.
Jesus! Wow, Freedom. Yeah, that's yeah.
And there was a guy in my cabin you might have heard of.
Yes, you told me. Bring it up.
I did tell you that. Ben Stiller.
Ben Stiller, dude, the comedian.
So I was hanging with Ben Stiller when I was.
His
11.
dad just died like 5 months ago, right? Jerry
Yeah,
Stiller.
yeah. I have to tell you, his mom was really instrumental in my career. You know, because I was writing. I wrote movie reviews for the camp newspaper. I mean, I was 11 years old. I wrote a review of Jaws and The Exorcist.
Oh,
and,
you mentioned The Exorcist earlier, Vinny. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I saw The Exorcist when I was 10.
You guys,
but Ben Stiller's mother, Ann Mara, who was pretty famous actress herself, an Oscar nominee. She was nominated for an Oscar in 1980. So Ben Stiller brought his mother over. Okay, Mom, this is the guy who wrote the movie reviews, and she said to me, "Oh, you're good." And honestly, that did it. That said, wow, this grown-up who works in the film industry said my writing was good. That's what I'm doing. And
that was when you were 9, 10?
11. God
damn. Just like you, Vincent. You're now doing makeup. I mean, I could see you and your buddies at Halloween throwing fucking blood on people and shit, doing that stuff. So what about you, Vincent? You've been to Maine before you did the thinner work?
No, I haven't. And then when I got there, I thought it was beautiful.
Did you really? Don't lie. It is
no,
nice,
I'm serious. It was absolutely gorgeous. Bangor, Maine, and Rockport. It kind of reminded me of the small town that would be like in It's a Wonderful Life. It's almost like that. That the center of town.
There's not much crime
back
in Maine.
then. Now this was in the mid '90s. So back then it was like one little theater, and I got to see like Kids was playing there. And
in Rockland, Maine.
Yeah.
You guys got that connected because he was in Rockland.
Yeah, that little theater, and they had these little like art festivals. It was a really beautiful, quaint, little place, and we had a hotel room that overlooked the lighthouse over there in Rockport, and so it was an amazing experience, and I'm working with Stephen King, and then Tom Holland, who became a lifelong friend after that, to the point
RoboCop
later on. Who directed Fright Night and Child's Play, for the people that don't know who that is. And he was developing a project called Day of the Triffids. And so after Thinner, I started doing designs for him. And that project didn't go anywhere. But later on through the years, he hired me for certain things. We became friends. I started producing films, both on a low budget end. Sorry, I'm getting I get
you do produce then. I knew you did. I knew you did like animatronic type shit, but I wasn't sure if you produced and you do produce then. That's cool.
I've been producing and directing. So films that ranged from anywhere. When I first started was with Jennifer Bean and Michael Bean as partners. So the actor Michael Bean, and from there they gave me some directing gigs, producing gigs, and then from there I went and directed a found footage film that got a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, and then I started getting called for films that were in a bigger budget, like the remake of Silent Night, Deadly Night, which was called Silent Night, starring Malcolm McDowell, which was like a $5 million budget, and was.
It's an old horror movie. Like, I didn't do anything. I swear. He might have. He'll come back.
Oh, I was just getting into that.
Well, real quick, Jean, our sponsor, that's her. Hi, Jean. She is the International Cryptozoology Museum. She's the she runs everything. She's like the chick that you want. She'll go in the woods with Bigfoot. She's from that area. She's introduced me to a lot of the thinner sites in Thomaston, Rockland, Friendship, Maine. That's her neck of the woods. Beautiful, David, out there. Do you like Rockland?
I do. I lived there for 2 years. I lived in
No fucking way. Did you really?
I lived in I've lived in Maine.
I didn't know that, brother.
Yeah, we didn't get into this. The year I was graduating college. So my dad had a bakery cafe in New Jersey on the banks of the Delaware, and the landlord decided to up the rent astronomically, and my dad was like, "Yeah, screw that." So one of his very regular customers was this rich lawyer from Bucks County who had a house in Bar Harbor, and he said, "You know what you should do? You should relocate to Maine and open it there." And my dad was like, "Okay." So he did, and so we didn't open in Bar Harbor, but I moved up to Maine in the summer of 1987 to help him renovate the building, and he opened a bakery and restaurant, actually a live music venue that I hear Stephen King went to a couple times in Blue Hill, Maine.
Blue Hill? Wow, you're dropping shit most people in Maine don't even know.
Yeah. Well, yes, I have lived in Blue Hill, which is right down the road from the Blue Hill Fairgrounds where Charlotte's Web is supposed to take place.
That's where E.B. White was from.
Yeah.
Do you know that they have population 1,200? Wow. So I got to say this real quick because my brain's shooting all around. Pet Sematary came out in 88. You moved here in 87. That's what got you the gig is moving here probably. That helped, right?
Yes and no. So I moved I moved up in summer of 87, moved back to Philadelphia in December of 87, and then in spring of 88 the crew, the producers of Signs of Life, were coming to my dad's place. He was making chit chat with them. He said, "Oh, I have this kid who just graduated film school, blah, blah, blah." And I called the guy like every week, "Do you have a job? Do you have a job? Can I have a job?" And he's like, I don't know. So actually, I finally just one day just got on a plane and just walked into the office and said, "I'm here."
Shut up.
Yeah. And so I worked on Signs of Life for 3 or 4 months. I finished Signs of Life on a Saturday.
I gotta watch that now. I gotta watch that. Yeah.
It's a nice movie. I finished Signs of Life on a Saturday, and then Monday started work on Pet Sematary.
Yeah. I mean, no, and I'm not trying to be like whatever, because God bless, good for you. But talk about right place, right time. Ben Stiller's mom, the Pet Sematary thing. It's not handed to you because you've earned it and you've worked hard for it. But goddamn, Dave, why not, right?
Why not? That's what I figure. Why not?
And then you're so cool. I was in the Pet Sematary group, and you said, "Oh, that was so fun to work on." And then my brain got a boner, and I go, "I got to message this guy." I'm a big Stephen King dude. I had to message you, and then it's been instant friendship since we've communicated. You talked about between you and me, and I guess the 13 people watching for now. You're possibly coming up to Maine this year to work on a film, and you'd like to meet me because you might be towards Greenville. You've never seen Mount Katahdin or the B-52 bombing.
No.
I'd love to take a day out and take you out, my lord, my friend, and maybe get some pictures and get you to sign my DVD. And Vincent, we lost him. Vincent, if you're watching, I don't know. He's not even in. Please just shit. I don't know. Let me see if I can message him real quick.
Yeah.
So I gotta ask you, man. Did you know about King before this stuff? I mean,
sure. I read Carrie.
Then, though. He wasn't that big. Carrie was big, but 88, Stephen King was still small fries. You know what I mean?
Oh, was he? Well, I mean, he had already done The Shining. The Shining was 1980.
Oh,
even
that's
though
true.
He doesn't like it, but
that's true.
No, I knew Stephen King pretty well, and
you met him.
I did. I met him once in the Pet Sematary office.
Please try
I will
again.
tell you that one of the coolest things I've ever seen was, though, we were in the Bangor airport.
Langoliers was filmed there. I've been there.
Was?
The Langoliers. Those things.
Yeah.
Sorry,
so,
go ahead.
We were filming in the Bangor airport, making it look like the Chicago airport. And so I'm there on the set, and I look over, and Stephen King is coming out of the gift shop in the Bangor airport. And I thought, that must be the coolest thing in the world, to come out of a store, look around and say, oh, look, they're shooting a movie. I wonder what movie it is. Oh, it's something I wrote. That's got to be the coolest thing in the world.
See, and that's why you dig it, because honestly, dude, I don't believe in false prophets. I believe in myself first, especially after everything I've been through. I've been through it all, you know that. But at the same time, going to the same high school as him, my English my homeroom teacher, Prudence Grant, she's probably dead now. She was Stephen King's English teacher. She goes, I never liked his work. I'll never forget that.
Really?
And, oh yeah, he grew up in Durham. He after his dad died, he moved. He said he'll be back in a few minutes. His messenger's not working; it's overheating. So it's you and me, brother, one-on-one for a while. That's fine.
Do that. Sure.
I'm gonna brag a little bit about it because you were interested and you didn't know about it. He went to Lisbon High School, Lisbon Falls, Maine. He was a Greyhound like me, but he lived in Durham. It's a town across the river. Excuse me, from the Androscoggin, named after Indians, like all of Maine.
Yeah.
And he grew up in this house. I've been there. Right next door is the oldest Methodist church in New England. Wow. 1821. It's still there, at least. It's still there. It's the oldest one. 1821. He attended it with his mom, and he actually preached there as a minister. And down the road from that, that's the Shiloh, which is mentioned in the body, aka Stand By Me.
Right.
And down from that on is Runaround Pond. That's where he got leeches on him as a kid and got the inspiration for the leech scene in Stand By Me. So it's all. So I've been to all these sites. You've seen the pictures. I've been to Pet Cemetery. I've been to Hamden Academy where he worked and wrote Carrie. And I'm there could be worse people to idolize. He's never cheated on his wife. He's good to his kids.
Yeah, he's a decent guy. He's a really decent guy. And you know what? Here's the thing.
He's Edgar Allan Poe of our time, man.
I didn't realize it, because he pumps out so many books and they're so popular. It never occurred to me that he could actually be a good writer. But when I started working on Pet Cemetery, for some reason, I thought, I should probably read the book. So,
well, Heather asked real quick, does this tie in? Heather wants to know what your favorite book from him is.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Sorry, but that's kind of ties in what you're saying.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. To tell the truth, I haven't read that many, but I will say I was reading Pet Cemetery and I'm like, wait a minute, this is a really well-written book. He's a really good writer. And so I don't know if you know that he has a book about writing. It's called On Writing.
I have it, hardcover.
And even people who would never read a Stephen King book, never see a Stephen King movie, no, they love it. They're like, wow, Stephen King's On Writing is one of the best books on writing.
I got to read it. I have it. I have that, and I have Faithful about the Red Sox. Those are the only two nonfiction.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the only two, whatever, the two ones that aren't fake that he wrote, so to speak.
So, but I got Heather's question.
Yeah.
I thought Pet Cemetery was really well written. Actually, I think it's a really sophisticated book. It really touches on some issues.
It's dark. Carrie. It's dark.
It's super dark. I like Carrie. Maybe I might like the movie better than the book, but yeah.
The original Carrie or the remake?
Oh, I wouldn't go near the remake. I might have seen the remake. I
love you.
Yeah, that some things just shouldn't be touched. I saw the movie again recently, a couple years ago. I was like, that's a good movie. Brian De Palma.
They're all going to laugh at you.
Yeah.
So don't be biased. Besides Pet Sematary, the movie, the original, what's your favorite Stephen King movie that you've seen?
Oh, good question. Well, Carrie is up there. Definitely. Believe it or not, I was not the biggest fan of Stand By Me. I know that's sacrilegious. It's a,
Power of Christ compels you.
I liked it. I didn't love it. I feel okay saying this. I've never been a huge fan of the movie of The Shining. And I know he isn't either. Stephen King isn't either.
He doesn't like Kubiak. He likes Kubiak, but not Kubiak's edition. A lot of people don't even realize Shawshank Redemption and Green Mile are King, and those aren't even nothing to do with creatures, really.
Having this conversation though, I'm remembering, because I've lived in Camden and I've lived in Rockland, and I used to go by the prison all the time, and it's not there anymore. Yeah.
Thomaston. Dude, you know what's funny? Before Vincent comes back, right in back of Thomaston, there's a little boat place and a bridge, and the bridge is gone. That's where the bridge scene is that he did the work for in Thinner when the gypsy guy, it's in actually Thomaston. Because when I went to the bridge, I got a video on my YouTube channel. Check it out, guys. Adam the Historian Ghost Hunter. I've been to a lot of all Stephen King's movie sites I've been to, except for the Micmac. But I've been to that bridge. Thomaston.
I have to tell you, so I told you I worked on Signs of Life and I worked on Pet Cemetery. Both films used the same location. I should know what road it's on. It's on the road from Blue Hill to Stonington. There's a big field of boulders, and
yes,
yeah, both films shot there.
In North by Arcadia, by the tip of by next to the ocean. No way.
Yeah, it was pretty. So yeah, I have a picture of it somewhere, but yeah, I was like,
you love Maine down deep. You're a Maine boy down deep.
I do. I really do. I mean, I was just, you know, I have a brother and sister who still live there. I have my sister lives in Sedgwick, and I think my brother lives in Castine.
Castine, that's mentioned in a lot of his movies and books. Yeah. Castle Rock, Castine, Maine. Real quick, I think we got him. Vincent, do you hear me?
Yeah, I don't know.
Shit.
It was,
I don't know.
Hey, you know, before I forget though, I don't know if I can ask a question, or I want to mention to your guest, Jean. I gather she has a background in cryptids and things like that.
Yeah. It was actually on Jeopardy. It's the only one in the world. And Lauren Coleman, he's been on every documentary there is. If you look him up, he's like the Ed and Lorraine Warren of Ghost. He's that of monsters. He named the Dover Demon in Dover, Massachusetts, the Dover Demon. He's been to Loch Ness looking for Nessie. He's been on every Bigfoot documentary there is. And she is a wildcat chaser. She looks for wildcats in Maine. They found cougars and panthers.
You know,
I
have a screenplay. I was hired to write a screenplay that's set in New Hampshire, and it was supposed to be shot. Yes, and I mentioned cougars in it, and somebody says, we haven't had cougars here for decades, and the person says, yeah, that's what the government wants you to believe. But but back to the cryptids. Just yesterday, I was having coffee with a friend, the guy who I produced this movie with 2 years ago, and he's just getting back from Pittsburgh, where he's scouting locations for a movie about the squonk. I don't know. Have you ever heard of the squonk? No. There's a song by Genesis called Squonk, but
I love Phil Collins. Yeah. Is this a skunk ape type thing? Like a skunk ape?
The squonk is Pennsylvania's official cryptid.
Look, Gene's heard of it.
He's heard of it. Yeah, so we're trying to do a squonk movie. It's funny because it's not a really scary cryptid. It's like, according to legend,
doesn't have to be, though.
Yeah, it's like a big pig with like Chihuahua skin, like those, and the legend is that if you get close to it, it dissolves into a puddle of water.
No way! Sorry for yelling. That's cool. That's cool. That's mythical. Like unicorns aren't scary. I'd love to see one though. Holy shit!
Yeah, it's a good screenplay too. I really hope he pulls it off. I might work on that. I don't know.
You got a fucking awesome brain, David.
I'm trying. It works. You should have seen me spending over 2 hours trying to get my printer to work today.
It works when it wants to on certain things, right?
Yeah, my brain was not especially awesome then. It's like, why does this work?
I'm going to ask you a question. And since we're live and we're getting recorded and there's about 15 people watching, if you ever come to Maine and shoot a movie, can I be in it and I'd work for free?
Absolutely. I would love to do a movie in Maine. So
I'm pretty good. I can act. Wait, what? You don't? No way. Oh,
well, because you are, you've become a bit of a personality, and I'm sure a lot of people around Maine know you. I think it would look good. But
I love you. I would promote the fuck out of you. You know it, brother.
Please do. I would love to. So about a month ago, this woman hits me up. She's a producer based in Las Vegas, but she's from Maine, and I'm completely blanking on where I think she's from Southern Maine, but she worked on one of the Stephen King movies, and I should know it, but I'm blanking it. But she asked me for 2 screenplays. She said, hey, can I read this one? Can I read that one? And I was like, hey, maybe we could go make them in Maine, but I haven't.
So Casa Me Casa, I'll hook you up in Brownville area. I'm 30 minutes from Bangor, which I want to bring to the group too. You're an author. You've written yourself.
I wrote a book. On screenwriting.
What's the name of it? Where can people find it? Let's promote it.
It's on Amazon. It's called Screenwriting for Micro Budget Films. So I'm really into the very, very low budget indie films. And part of it, I will tell you, I don't know if this is sacrilegious, part of it was the experience of working on Signs of Life and Pet Sematary. So
I love Pet Sematary, but that was very low budget for the time.
It was
Yeah,
pretty low
now,
budget,
really.
but going from Signs of Life was $1 million, and Pet Sematary, depending on who you talk to, was either 16 million or 20 million, but it was considerably more than Signs of Life. And so on Signs of Life, I worked in every department on the film. One day, I'm picking up trash. The next day, I'm working in props, and you just do everything. I was once on set for 45 hours straight. That's like not going to sleep, not washing, that's what it's like when you work on a low budget indie film. And like one
They don't have
day,
labor laws when it comes to films. They don't have labor
they
laws.
do. I don't think
no one gives a fuck.
and if I, it's the kind of thing where it's the first film I'm working on. If I made a fuss, I would have never worked on a film again.
Not worth it. I get you. You can always sleep when you're dead, right?
And, the funny thing is, so I worked these 45 hours straight, and for some reason, my mom was up there. My parents were divorced, but my mom was visiting. So I walk into my dad's place, and my mom is there. I've been up for 45 hours, and she looks at me and she said, "I've never seen you look so good." Because here I was living my dream, working on the movies. But going from $1 million film where everybody pitches in and there's no ego to going to a big studio film with lots of money. And I don't want to tarnish anyone's experience of the film. And the crew is generally really cool. I was friendly with the people I worked with, but there was a lot of ego and there was a lot of waste.
You talking about Pet Sematary?
This is Pet Sematary.
Because you look at the leading actors. He was the dude Lewis. He was the baby face. The chick was kind of hot. She was the hottie. And then you had some. I mean, you got Herman Munster on fucking set. Then I saw the thing, the Beyond the Pet Sematary that my buddy Jonathan put on. And you see Charlie Sheen was there. Magic Johnson flew up the main. They were on set watching.
Oh, I missed them. Oh,
bullshit! You were in it. You were in that documentary.
Oh, I'm in the documentary, right? But I never saw Charlie Sheen or Magic Johnson.
Charlie Sheen was a friend of Victor Pascow. I forget who played Victor Pascow. Who played? What was Victor Pascow's?
Blanking Brad something.
Brad
Greenlee, something like that.
Brad Greenlee, yes, thank you.
How I remember that?
Right. It was Brad, yeah, or Brad Greenquist or something.
Greenquist or something.
But that's to do with the brain on the.
I get him confused with the guy. You guys know it was a guy who played Zelda.
That was a not teenage boy. He was like 20 or 21.
Yeah, he was a gymnast.
Yes, I sent him a request too.
But I will tell you,
Rachel. Oh,
man, people remember that. I walked into this room once.
Remember, can't forget it.
Piles of prosthetics. There was just, Judd's like fake Judd's body with his mouth cut open and all this stuff.
The mouth, when Gage slices his mouth.
Yeah, so I saw that. There had to have been a couple $1 million worth of special effects props in this room. And
remember I messaged you? It was the Bangor Auditorium or the Bangor
the Armory.
Center. And you're like, you know your shit. And I'm like, oh, David Greensberg said I fucking know my shit. David Greenberg is like, you know your shit. I'm like, yeah.
No, you know yourself. But the thing, Miko Hughes, who played
Met him.
Did you really play Gage? He's 3 years old at the time of making the film, and he was cool the whole time. There was one day, I mean, I wasn't on the actual set a lot, but he was a 3-year-old kid, and one day he had a little tantrum. I saw him because he's 3, but they didn't want to traumatize him. They didn't want to actually have him hold a knife and pretend to kill.
Well, that's when he cut Judd's face, isn't it? The mask you're talking about?
Right, but they didn't want to make him do that. But in the end, Fred Gwynne was such a cool guy, and he and Miko Hughes just got along really well, like grandfather and grandson. And in the end, they wanted him to do it. He wanted to do it. So they were going to have a puppet hand with the knife and everything, but no, they really gave him the fake knife and had him do it.
But I remember in that thing that the dude shot, that's kind of when he lost his shit because Fred had to go, and when he did that, Miko's like, of course, the kid was in fucking, I mean, like you said, what was he, 3?
I think he was 3.5 years old.
Was it that young? Really?
He was young. I mean, he was like a little kid.
That's right. Because you look at, he was in Falls a couple years later, and even then, he was. Let me show you something real quick.
Yeah,
if I can get there. Check this out. Where is it?
Oh yeah.
Here it comes. Ready?
Is that him? Wow, you know what? That looks like him. That's crazy. I think he lives in Jersey. I think he lives near me in central Jersey or something. Crazy. But yeah, so that actually, so it was a long-winded story. That's actually what really got me into working on indie films, just because I saw so much money. Oh, okay. Here, I have to tell this story. And it's not a very flattering story, but so I was in the set construction department of Pet Cemetery, meaning I basically just drove around and bought wood. I drove
what?
I bought wood.
Bought wood? Oh, from lumber yards and shit.
I was going to lumber yards, and all I did was buy hardware and wood and stuff. So one day they said, Dave, can you go up to the airport? We're getting a delivery of a mahogany banister. And here's a check for $3,500. I'm like, they're spending $3,500 on a mahogany banister. Couldn't they just get pine and paint it to look like? Wouldn't it be cheaper to use pine?
You would think. That's the bed. That's Zelda's bed, right?
No, it was a banister. It was in Judd's house.
Oh, and I get the pictures of that shit. Yes, it's a banister from, yeah.
There's a banister. So there's this $3,500 mahogany banister. And so I thought, what a waste of money. And so I'm going to go see this movie and see how long this $3,500 banister is in the movie. So it comes on, I see it, I counted. It's in the movie for 10 seconds. And I thought, wow, I could make a movie for $3,500. It just seemed like such a waste of money. And so that led me on this path of trying to make movies.
Dave,
no, that was we had two locations. We had a big warehouse in Ellsworth where we shot a lot. This was the Armory. This was that was done. Judd's house. Interior was done in Bangor, and I think, what was the family's name?
Crandall, Judd Crandall, right?
Yeah, it was, and Lewis Creed.
Creed, but Ellsworth was the city hall with the
yeah, that was the city hall, but the inside of Judd's house was shot in Bangor, but the inside of the Creed house was Ellsworth.
I heard that was inside someone's house. But the outside facades, of course, was in Hancock, which is named after the guy that signed the Declaration of Independence, Maine. I've been to the side alley in the road where Gage got killed, and I've been there. It's personally owned now. They're on the porch drinking lemonade. They waved to me. I walked down to the path, which they led to the Pet Cemetery. It's actually a stream, because then that goes to Southwest Harbor-ish, where they shot Storm of the Century. But up there is the rock quarry, where he goes, not much longer now. And Lewis goes, you keep saying that. You see a rock quarry, a bunch of water with a rock in the middle.
I want to address Megan's question. Megan has a question. Did they sell the banister?
Oh,
no, it burnt.
It what?
Burnt.
Well, isn't that what, Dave? Isn't that what this is? Shit, I'm sorry.
There might be a picture. Yeah, there might be one.
Isn't that what this is burnt in the? Oh, not that. I'm sorry, guys. Let me get to it.
Yeah,
the picture you have and it's burnt though. Like this. Shit. What the hell is it? Right there. Isn't that it? Burnt? Isn't that a banister?
That's part of Judd's house. Yeah. I'm
Black Bar historians right here.
Oh, maybe that is the banister. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But no, it was completely wasted. I mean, I guess it's not wasted because the movie made money. And
so what happened to the bed when you said no to it?
I bet they trashed it. I'm afraid they trashed it. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I don't know if I think it was before we got on. I don't know, or if we said it, but they offered me Zelda's bed at the end of the shoot.
Did you take anything at all from something?
I don't think I did.
Dave, stop. Maybe got one thing. Oh, well, you guys didn't know it'd be.
We didn't know. Yeah, we didn't know.
It's great, but not like the first one. People love it.
Yeah, but yeah. So my whole thing. So you asked me about my book. So I wrote this book about how to write movies that can be done for really low budget, because it's not like regular movies. Regular movies, Pet Sematary, they write the book, they write the screenplay, they come up with the money for it, but most regular people can't do that. Oh, it looks good. Ooh.
This Alexis Aaron, she makes her own candles in New Hampshire. Fruit Loop candle.
Wow.
She's a single mother of 3. She doesn't get a boyfriend, but she's got 3 kids, and she makes candles and incense and stuff. And she supports the show. Cool. She lives, her mother's from Derry, New Hampshire, not Derry, Maine. She lives in Maine area, but she watches every week. So I just want to say kudos to her. But yes, Dave. No, Dave. This is about you. I want to talk about you being an author, man. This is big. I don't want people to know.
Oh, yeah. No, so I like low budget film. My thing too is, how there's people out there who are really into like indie and underground music. They always want to find some band nobody's ever heard of.
Calling the herd.
Yeah. Last time I was in Maine, I can't remember. I forget how I stumbled upon it. This whole sort of, I don't know what you would call this, like country hip hop scene that's up there.
Really?
Yeah, I forget what it's called. There's this band that does like
in Maine. I used to sing Calling the Herd. I opened up for Mushroom Head and El Nino, Slipknot type bands. I've been compared to like Pantera, Lamb of God, Roddy Buddy. You know what I mean? Like metal shit. But country's cool. I love David Allan Coe and I love Michael Jackson type shit.
This was wild. And I saw videos and it got huge crowds out in the woods to see this band play. I don't know. I'm blanking on the name, but I thought that was really fascinating. But anyway, so I'm like that with movies. I'm always looking for indie underground movies that nobody's ever heard of. And sometimes I see a really cool one. Sometimes they're bad, but every now and then it's worth it to me. And so I want to teach people how to write that kind of thing with the technology everybody has. I just got, the new iPhone 14 Pro Max because I want to make movies on it. It's cinematic quality. So I think everybody should make a movie, but you should read my book first.
Looking for my computer charger. Heather, I know you're downstairs. If you get the computer charger, I want to bring it up to me if you get a chance, just because my phone's at 37%, my computer. I think that's great because I love to learn. I want to expand. I didn't go to college. I didn't go to school, but I think I can make a film. Maine, as you know, has got lore from pirates to witches to mermaids. To the B-52 crash site to Stephen King, to you name it. And I want to do a documentary this summer on Stephen King. I know his school teachers. I know his school. I know his librarian. I know where he grew up. I know where he attended. I know where movies were filmed. I go, fuck it. No one's really done a big documentary on just him.
Right.
I waved to Tabitha 3 weeks ago at his house in Bangor. I was at the Red House. I go, Tabby! And she was there. She goes, hey! I go, Tabitha.
Somebody wants to know the name. Is that your real? Is Lucum Spookum your real name?
That can't be fucking right.
I hope so. The book is called Rewriting for Micro Budget Films. I'm sure we can. I'll post a link.
I posted some links. You guys go to Historically Haunted Vlog. You should check it out. And it's on Amazon. I'm personally going to message Dave so he can sign it for me. I want a signed copy. But maybe if he comes to Maine, then we could split a lobster roll and go check out some cool shit.
No, I need my own lobster roll.
I would love whatever. I would love it though. I would love to bring you to whatever. Bring you some old stomping grounds, man. Yeah. You've never been to, what was it, Mount Katahdin or Greenville? Is that correct?
I have not been up there. I have a friend. I have an old friend I've known since I was 10 or 11 who lives way up in, what's it called, Lake Portage or something like that. Yeah,
he's dropping stuff no one's ever heard of, brother.
Yeah, wow. That's like, it's basically Canada.
It's basically Canada. Anything past Bangor, it's Canada. It's Paul Bunyan land, Presque Island shit. Yeah. Like I said, I honestly, I live in, and it's actually a town called my name. It's Adams. It's by LaGrange, by Milo, by Brownville.
Sure. Yeah. I know.
He's bumfuck. But it's windy. It's by Mount Katahdin. I'm 35 minutes from the Appalachian Trail and 45 minutes from Bangor.
That's pretty sweet. That's good.
But yeah, I get the DoorDash by Kings. Bangor's kind of neat. You spent some time there. We're at about 5 minutes to an hour. You might have to go a little bit over because I'm dying.
That's fine. Yeah, it's good. I mean, the funny thing is, I always think Maine just feels like a place where there should be horror movies taking place, and yet I think statistically, it's like the safest state in the country.
Stephen King didn't need much. All his movies, his books which turned into movies. I think he's got more than any author. They're all based on lore, everything from the Wendigo to just pirates, witches, these things, the Salem's Lot, these vampires. It's all New England lore. There's vampire lore in Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts has got the witches from Salem. Come on,
I was looking into that. I was actually supposed to be doing a vampire movie. I had a vampire movie ready to go.
I read Lestat. Oh, Anne Rice. God bless her.
It completely funded, even had a distribution deal, and it fell apart. And it was so rough. Luke, it's called, we'll post it somewhere. It's called Screenwriting for Micro Budget Films. Screenwriting
for micro budget. He's got over 60 screenwrites in his pocket, and I'm sure he's got numerous ones he hasn't even released yet. Screenwriting, basically, it's a fucking book. You're writing books, Dave.
Yeah, I wrote yes, I have written over 60 screenplays. Of those 60 screenplays, maybe 5 have been produced. So I'm at this level where people just say, "Hey, Dave, can you write a screenplay?" I'm mostly a writer for hire. I rarely come up with my own stuff. People say, "Hey, can you write a screenplay?" This actually happened about 10 years ago. Someone said, "Hey, I want to do a movie about teenage vampires." And I was like, "I think that's been done." And he's Twilight. Like, "Really?" He somehow had never heard of Twilight. And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's this thing called Twilight."
But that's romantic cheese, though. I feel like you could put a little spin on that.
I did it, but that never got made. But I'm trying to get stuff made. I have for some reason, an Indian production company is looking at one of my screenplays for Netflix India.
Brownville's nice. Netflix India, that's very cool. I looked at your bio and of course the stuff you sent me, and you're kind of all over the place, and I don't want to stick to just Stephen King shit, but you know me, that's what my heart is, and I got to dive back to it. What did you think of Pet Sematary, having not read the book, when you found out this kid gets killed, which is one of the first times in cinematic history where a child gets killed?
Well, I bet you can think of another one. There's another. Well, I can think of 2 significant kid deaths. One, Jaws, obviously.
Oh, Jaws. Dude, I met him. I met the kid, Alex Kinnister. His real name is something Voorhees. I met him at the Caricon with Nico.
Here, I'll give you a hint. I don't want to spend too much time, but think Halloween. No, a kid doesn't get killed in Halloween. I'm not going to make a guess. If you ever saw John Carpenter's earlier film, Assault on Precinct 13.
No.
Well, one, it's a good movie.
I think it's a fog or something.
This little girl eating an ice cream cone gets shot. I'm like, what? Who kills a little girl in a movie?
What is it called again?
Assault on Precinct 13.
I never fucking heard of it. It sounds like
1975. I think it was the film he did before he did Halloween.
Wow. Yeah. Let's dive into some personal shit because this is fun. What's one of your favorite go-to just all-around movies that you haven't worked on? Like, what's one of your inspirations or what are your go-tos?
It's interesting. What Vincent was saying earlier,
Oh, thank you, Danny.
Oh, thank you. I saw Jaws when I was 10, and that did it.
You mentioned that a couple of times tonight.
Yeah, Jaws. And the worst thing is, it is such a cliche among filmmakers of my generation. Emilio Estevez and Charlie Sheen reportedly can recite Jaws word for word. They love it so much. Steven Soderbergh.
That's so stupid. I love it. That's my bucket list. It was all filmed in Martha's Vineyard, Massachusetts by John Belushi's grave. Right there, the bridge is still there. The rock bridge that Jaws was filmed at, and it's based off the 1921 shark attacks in New Jersey.
Atlantic City, yeah.
Atlantic City, New Jersey, yeah. Good man. So are you fascinated with water or just sharks?
No, it just got. So I saw that when I was 10. When I was 12, I got to see on the big screen Alfred Hitchcock's North by Northwest, which is
it's a mind fuck.
Yeah, it's not even Hitchcock's best film, but I saw that and I said, "This is what I want to do. I want to make movies. I want to make people. I want to make people jump out of their seats."
Look who came in for the fucking matinee. Look who came in for the encore. What's up, Vinny? You trying to dodge us, motherfucker? What's up, brother?
No, I'm having. I had a charger overheating, and it overheated my phone.
Wow.
So and I was at I'm at my home instead of my studio. I should have went to the studio and did this, but I was doing it here, so I had
That's
this issue.
All right. You get a pass. You'll have to come back on as a guest. That's all. You're gonna have to come back on. You have to promise me that. We've talked to Dave a lot. I know Dave probably. If Dave, you could stick around if you want.
I'm happy to. Yeah, I cleared.
You don't mind?
Yeah, no, it's cool.
Vinny, I'm gonna catch up with you because I've got to know a lot about Dave, and I still got so many fucking questions for this cat. I'm gonna have to guys come back on.
We'll have to come back. Yeah, totally.
But for now, Vinny, let's see. You guys can ask Vincent some questions. Hey, Betsy, everybody checking in. What's going on? Thank you everybody for checking in. So what's one of your favorite projects to do, Vince? What's one of your favorite projects that you've worked on? Like, what are your favorite characters that you've made where you're like, I really love this guy?
I would have to say that I'm most proud of as a character, even though it wasn't fun to work on, was probably the work I did in Requiem for a Dream. Just the fact that she's aging and turning thin through there in prosthetics, and people didn't realize that. So that was probably one of my favorites. The Wings and Dogma. The first two films I did with Kevin, which is Dogma and Jane Silent Bob Strikes Back, was probably one of the most wonderful, fun experiences on set, and as well as, of course, Last of the Mohicans, just being on set with Michael Mann. Clint Eastwood.
Legend.
Clint Eastwood with Letters of Iwo Jima. Working with Buddy Van Horn, who is a legendary stuntman for Clint for decades.
Stuntman, Clint stunt guy, yeah.
So I have a lot of great stories to pick some of that out right away. But those are the things that are like top in my head. Working with Joe Dante. Working with Tom Holland on things. James Gunn was a lot of fun.
He did the Langoliers too, didn't he? He did Thinner and the Langoliers. Tom Holland, didn't he do both for King?
I actually designed the Langolier creature, and it was CGI'd. And
yeah.
Even Holland hated the CGI in that. He thought, and looking back on it, it looks like South Park animation, which is
the 90s, for Christ's sake. You can't do too much.
Yeah, it was an $18 million TV project at the time, and so that was it was a little bit of an embarrassment on the CGI end of things. But I know that was a long time ago, but still. Not a high mark in CGI, and but it was cool to design the creature for that. And Stephen King liked it so much that he had it. He was walking around Bangor, Maine with it, and went to a hot dog stand, was ordering hot dogs, and had the thing and put a hot dog in its mouth. And I believe that model's on his fireplace. So,
I love you guys. Cool. I love you guys' main stories, man. You guys both get some ties, David. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, I just IMDb'd you, Vince, and saw you worked on Neighbor, the movie Neighbor.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I know that guy. I knew a ton of people who worked on. Wow, actually, I actually lived with a girl.
It was Robert Mastantonio, who's a good friend of mine. Yeah, yeah. And, that was a fun movie to work on as well.
I lived with the cinematographer's ex-wife and she was a production designer on it. I'm not going to say names, but yeah.
That was a while back. So off the top of my head, I can't remember everybody on that crew.
I know a lot of people who worked on that. That's cool.
Well, I got to ask you, and I know I don't want to beat the dead horse, and I get it. I'm a Stephen King fucking boner rider. But I got to ask you, because me and Dave talk about this, because Dave kind of knows the Thomaston, Rockport area. I've been to the bridge. It's actually gone now. But the remake bridge next to the boat ramp, next to the ocean, where Thinner, where the gypsy fights the white man from town. You did a lot of work on Thinner, dude. That's why I brought you on. I'm a King head, man. I grew up at the same high school as him. I've been to where he grew up, his church. So for Thinner, you did a lot of that work in that dream scene, right? The gypsy scene and shit.
This is how it went down. So I get it. This is the Thinner podcast. So the hell with all my other work.
No. I want to hear. No. And I don't mean that shit. No.
We're going to talk about this.
I like cold pasta, but don't give me cold pasta. But I do want to know the thinner real quick.
We're going to talk about the seals at Rockport and the.
I can chime in. I'm
here to change the podcast to just talking about that. No, but anyway, to get back to
podcast, I'm gone. You guys can take over.
I was telling Adam. I told Adam a week or so ago. So I've spent a lot of time in Maine, and I know what driving through Camden is like in the summer. The traffic is there in Camden, and so I was up there in October, 1 October, and traffic in Camden was insane. I'm like, what is going on here? This is July traffic. This isn't October traffic. And I said, they must be shooting something. And yeah, it was thinner.
Well, I mean, that whole
way. You were there while he was shooting.
So blocked off.
Going up to visit my dad. I just gotten married or something. I drove up to me for the weekend.
The traffic point, I remember trying to get to set.
Yeah, traffic. Yeah, I lived in Camden.
Yeah,
I knew the back roads.
Pretty ride. Just you better set aside an hour and a half of your time.
Yeah.
So to get back to your question on thinner, there was who's in poor health right now. He was on The Howling, and he was Oscar nominated and winner on Mrs. Doubtfire.
Doubtfire, yeah.
That actually got the job, and then what happened was, because of the connection through Dick Smith and me working for Laurel Entertainment, who did like Monster. Through that connection, I got called from Greg Canham to come up with another artist named Bob Layden to supervise and do all the effects on set for Thinner. So that's when I went up there to do that for him. And I normally didn't work for people. I had my own studio, but because Greg was I was such a big fan of his, to work with somebody like that, I couldn't pass the opportunity by. So we connected. We became real good friends, me and Greg. And then I basically, me and Bob Layden ran all his effects, did all the makeup, applying it onto Robert Burke, who's also another lifelong friend at this point. Him, the fat makeups, the lizard guy, and all the effects that you see, and assisting Greg when Greg came up to check in on things, stayed for a couple of days, left. So that's kind of how that.
The lizard guy, that's the guy from the HBO series Oz, the Nazi guy in jail. And at the end, he's like, Jesus Christ, in his face, he looks like a lizard.
He's gone as well. I think he recently passed away as well.
Oh, no shit.
He's a really nice guy. He played Hopley in the movie, who shoots himself. Yeah. And he was in a ton of movies, horror. I mean, you name it. And
oh yeah,
great guy, just a great guy. And
well, that's gonna bring me to my next question, real quick. Do you guys stay in contact with these people after? Do you have their cell phones, their emails, or Facebook, I guess, or MySpace, whatever the fuck? Do you guys stay in contact with certain people, Vince?
Of course, yeah. Like I said, Tom Holland's a lifelong friend. Robert Burke is a lifelong friend.
Mary.
Mary's a lifelong friend. Definitely there are a number of people that after the film was wrapped, that still affected my life. So I was, Mitch Galen, who's a producer, I stayed in touch with. So yeah, there was a lot of those people from that set that I'm in touch with. Or
I don't really. I mean, I worked on those two movies
really
35 years ago. And then I really didn't work on, so at the end of the shoot, I had worked on these two movies back to back for 6, 7, 8, 9 months or something. My first movies, I'm 22, 23. And I thought, okay, I've now worked in every department on a film set. I could do this for the next 40 years of my life, but that's not what I want to do. I came to realize that what I do best and like most is write screenplays.
But I mean, you must run into the same people, just like Vince. You must run into the same fucking people and go, oh, whatever the fuck, Tommy, Mike, Steve, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I'll bump into someone here and there. I keep waiting for Vince D'Onofrio. You guys know Vince D'Onofrio? You would know Vince D'Onofrio. He's,
of course.
Men in Black. He was the monster in Men in Black. And Saving Private Ryan, of course.
Oh.
But he made a really low budget horror movie a few years ago. Anyway, I wrote about it in my book. Well, he was in Signs of Life. I actually body doubled for him, even though he's about a foot taller than me. But he made this kind of horror musical a few years ago, and I wrote about it extensively in my book. And I keep waiting for somebody to say, "Hey, this guy wrote about your movie. Do you want to take him out or something?"
Smart.
Yeah.
Before we get into plugging some shit, I'm going to have some fun. Dave, what's one of your go-to for music? What do you like to chill to? What do you like to get you?
Oh, music. Oh, that's a good. Oh, that's a tough
people
call.
like to touch on bed shit. What's one of your bands? Give me like 3 or 4.
3 or 4. Well, okay, okay. Here we go. I because I'm a writer, I'm a storyteller. I always have to tell a story. There was a study done a few years ago that found that people, especially male people, always go back to the music they listen to between the ages of 16 and 20. So, which is only partially true. I still have my eyes and ears open for new music.
Vince.
Okay, so I know it's gonna. Don't hate on me too hard, but I like you too.
Classic. Yeah. Okay, that's cool. Give me a couple more. I like you too. Bono's a good respect.
Yeah.
What about?
Oh gosh, off the top of my head. Real
quick, you know what's funny? My first concert was the Ramones and White Zombie.
Wow.
I've been to Sleepy Hollow Cemetery where Ramones filled Pet Cemetery in Sleepy Hollow Cemetery, and of course I've been to Stephen King's house where they went and wrote it. So Ramones got a place in my heart. You like?
I've got I have a place. It's funny because just the last week or so, I've had the Ramones song "Bonzo Goes to Bitburg" in my head, which is a really good song. I saw the Ramones 4 times.
Only seen them once. Joey.
Yeah, I think it was just the anniversary of his death. He died. He was listening to a U2 song when he died. But don't
shut the front door.
It was a great, because they say they were heavily influenced by the Ramones.
You guys know so much random weird shit. I can't wait to rewatch this tomorrow.
So I listen to a lot of music when I'm at the gym. I don't know.
Give me one more.
Rage Against the Machine.
Oh, I didn't expect that.
Yeah, that's most people don't.
That's cool. Vincent, what say you? Give me 3, 4 bands you like, brother.
I'm a Barry Manilow and Barbara Streisand are my 2 favorites.
Don't fucking lie to me, you bastard. Do not lie to me, Vincent. Either you're one of the most glorified people I know or you're a rotten liar. So go ahead and tell me it's Metallica and what. Go ahead. Barry Manilow. Edit. Yeah. Cut.
Anything that's 80s and everything soundtrack wise, so I'm more of a soundtrack guy. And like I said, anything 80s. Oh yeah, Hans Zimmer and John Williams and epic
bells.
All that stuff. Any movie soundtracks is what I mostly listen to. Ambient music and anything from the 80s. My favorite band of all time is a new band that's been out, that's been has been going worldwide. They're an 80s retro band, but they don't do 80s songs. They come up with their own 80s type of feel music, and they're called The Midnight, which is a very big.
Hey, I've heard of them up and coming. Yes, The Midnight.
Yeah, they're huge. Yeah, they're all over the world now, and I just recently saw them. And they're incredible, and they're lending their music to soundtracks now for movies. So I mean, and of course, Tangerine Dream. Because some of my favorite films are like Blade Runner, and Hans Zimmer's soundtrack to 2049 is amazing. You know,
movies. You guys live and breathe movies from soundtrack.
Have you ever seen what's it called? Sorcerer?
Of course.
Yeah, Tangerine Dream. That's a good movie.
Yeah.
And
that punk, you know, of course, with Tron Legacy soundtrack, which I know is a little played out now, but I still think it's one of the most amazing soundtracks as well. You know, I'm a movie guy. It doesn't have to just be horror. You know, it's everything involving great film. So I'm a cinephile. You know, Stanley Kubrick's my favorite director of all time.
Really?
You know, yeah.
Really?
That's
Dave,
my mind.
Who's your favorite director? That's a great question.
That is a really good question. I have a friend who once said, "You're either a Stanley Kubrick person or an Orson Welles person." I'm an Orson
Welles. I like them both. That's fucking funny. I can see why.
Yeah. I just taught
Vincent D'Onofrio played him.
Yeah, Vincent. Yeah, he was great as Orson Welles. Yeah,
looked just like him.
He played him twice.
Shit.
In a short film where he played him, but he also played him in Ed Wood.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. That one scene, you would think it was him. Yeah, you thought it was him when you saw him.
Yeah, he was good. Yeah.
Hey, do you guys see who I have coming on 2 Fridays from not next Friday, but the Friday after?
I don't know.
I have Walter Fellin. He played Dr. Satan in Rob Zombie's House of 1,000 Corpses.
Oh, nice. I like that one.
The gas mask, Dr. Satan. And 2 weeks ago, I had Sandy Johnson on, who was Michael Myers' first kill, and her sister, in 1974 Playmate in June. She was born in July. She blew me a kiss. She blew me a kiss online. She's still hot for like 82. I don't give a shit. She was awesome. We're a little bit over. We're like 20. Can we go another 13 minutes? Is that cool?
I'm good. I'm having a ball.
I know wrestling's on. SmackDown can wait. I'm a big wrestling fan. What do you guys?
Well, I got one more piece of information. I know that would be it's sort of exclusive, and since this was a Stephen King thing and a thinner thing, I know he's going to go crazy. Sometime in July. There is the prop person, Carly, who did all the props on Stephen King's Thinner, who's become a producer and director of her own right in San Diego. She is now putting together, and I'll have the dates and everything, and it'll be announced, but they're getting a reunion together for screening in San Diego for Stephen King's Thinner.
Shut the fuck up. A whale's vagina. They're going to go way out there.
Yeah, San Diego. Sorry. Yeah. And Tom Holland and other people.
Do you guys do meet and greets? Do you do Paracons or not Paracons?
I never have.
Do you guys do like, you know what I mean? Like horror conventions? Do you guys do that shit?
I want to. I wrote a
screenplay. There's Monsterpalooza. You know, I'm always at Monsterpalooza most of the time, and I either display at the museum or I'm a guest. So of course, Monsterpalooza is huge out here.
Dave, do you do that?
I never have. I've always wanted to. I want to check it out. They have Monster Mania. There's like 2 Monster Mania.
I saw Rocket Shock in New England, and now they do ScreamCon, the lead singer of that band. And that's where I met Miko, Kane Hodder, who plays Jason. I met that hot chick in Halloween. What the fuck is her name? Everybody loves her.
Danielle Harris.
Danielle Harris, thank you. I met the new Mike Myers, Mike something McCourtney. I met the old one. Yes.
Just guys, if I'm gonna lose you because my phone is overheating again, I'm having issues again. It's this fucking charger. I don't know what's going on in this house, but
can I message you and have you by yourself? Oh fuck. I tell you,
I'm sure you can hook him up, but
this guy's got his own production company and he can't.
Yeah, no, I want to meet up with him. Tell him if he needs a screenplay, let me know.
I'll get him straight on. But Dave, I'm gonna milk you for 11 minutes.
Is that cool? For it. I'm good.
If you want to go, that's cool. I'll get a little bit of a buzz.
No,
I'm having a good time. I feel like you're a friend of mine because we've talked.
Yeah,
and dude, I'd love to just meet you, hang out. So as far as like what is Dave Greenberg David Greenberg, what do you have planned for 2023, 2024?
That's a really good question.
Yeah, you want to make, you got 60 fucking screenplays, brother.
Yeah.
You're going to make some into a movie, independent. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dude, Night of the Living Dead was a B movie, okay?
Sure. Hey, a friend of my, an old friend of my parents invested in that. He gave George Romero some of the money for Night of the Living Dead.
Are you fucking serious?
I mean, a little bit. They were old hippies back then.
Dave, but they knew him?
Not my parents. My parents' friend knew him.
I drove to Evans City, Pennsylvania last summer just to go to the cemetery to see where the Crazies and Night of the Living Dead was filmed. The big thing downtown is my profile picture, Night of the Living Dead. I've been to the Monroeville Mall for Night of the Living Dead 2, Day of the Dead. I mean, this is in your blood, Dave.
Oh,
right?
Totally. I really can't.
Screenwriting, authoring. What would you be doing? Well, working at Walmart? Come on.
Years ago, I was bartering with this woman. No, I mean, I hope nobody here works at Walmart. But anyway,
I did for a month. It sucked.
This woman hit me up and she said, "Hey, I wrote a screenplay. Could you mentor me? Could you give me advice on it? And I'll barter with you." She wasn't going to pay me. So she was a professional executive headhunter. So, and I was barely working. I don't make a dime. I just did my taxes. I made less money this year than I did last year. But anyway, at the end she interviewed me for 2 hours, and I thought she was going to say, "All right, I think you would probably be a good insurance agent or something like that." And then at the end of 2 hours, she said, "You know what? Just keep doing what you're doing." She said, "You're an artist." She said, "You would die in a cubicle. You're just not a cubicle job kind of guy."
We're meant for more than that, right? You're meant for more than that.
I think so. So yeah, I would like to make a film. Just actually right before I got on, I was going over a story that I have. It's not a horror movie per se. It's a thriller, but it's like a mob thriller. But it all takes place in one room, basically. That's my thing. If anybody is listening,
so Saw meets Black Mass or what?
Something. I do have one of the films that the producer from Las Vegas is looking at. What do I call it? I call it The Big Chill meets The Blob. It's a group of old friends from college getting together at a lakeside cabin after one of their friends commits suicide, and there's a monster in the lake.
They go there to repent. Maybe they're having, at first it's fun. The music's playing, they're smoking weed, they're having a beer. Yep. The girl's got her tits hanging out. Woo! But next thing you know, it's like, oh my God, what was that? Yeah. That's fucking dope. Me, dude. I would gladly be killed in it. Oh, Mike. Dave. I'm sorry. I don't know why I said Mike for. Dave, I would love to work with you. Your brain. I've seen the stuff you do, and you look like you're so much fun, dude. And I feel like you're willing to do most anything. Is that fair? I don't feel like you're too like.
Within reason.
Well, right, but I mean, you're pretty open to.
I am, and I call myself a minimum wage screenwriter, which is actually pretty accurate. I'll tell you.
Sorry. Cut.
Do you know the movie Birdemic? Have you ever heard of Birdemic?
Sounds familiar.
It's considered one of the worst movies ever made. And it's about, killer birds, really cheesy special effects.
The Birds by Hitchcock?
It's basically a ripoff of The Bird.
Ripoff.
Yeah, it's basically The Birds, but made for $50. So in my life, I've only ever turned down 2 screenwriting jobs. Basically, if somebody says, you write a screenplay and we'll pay you anything, I'll do it. But I turned down the sequel to Birdemic.
But dude, that beautiful brain of yours with 60 plus, you must get some righteous shit just ready to bring on paper/film, right?
You might think that. Here's my dark secret. Coming up with stories is really hard for me. If you said, Dave, here's $1 million, go write a screenplay.
Plus novels, and you can't think of screenplays, and you can't.
It's hard. I mean, I can do it, but it's hard. So for
what
instance,
do you do? What do you do, Dave Greenberg? What do you do?
Well,
You
most of the time people come to me and say, "Hey Dave, can you write a screenplay about this? Hey Dave, can you write?" So I have 2 screenplays coming up this summer that I'm writing that I got hired to write, and I'll bring a little bit of cash in. But in both cases, the people who are hiring me are writing the story. They'll send me a 10-page story, and then I just turn that into a screenplay. And to me, that's ideal.
Well,
I mean, of the 60 screenplays, I would say maybe 10 are completely original ideas.
No
So
shit.
I made a film. I mentioned that I made a film 10 years ago. It's on Amazon. You can check it out. It gets more bad reviews than good.
Plug. No, seriously, plug, dude. Plug right now.
It's called Stomping Ground. Now, there's a couple films called Stomping Ground. There's one that was made around the same time. We even have the same distributor, but theirs is about Bigfoot. This is me directing Stomping Ground.
I knew I had a picture. I was trying to find it.
That was shot in 24 hours.
Where is that? Wisconsin? Where is that?
No, that's believe it or not, that's right outside Philadelphia.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stop.
So that's my thing.
So what's up with this chick? Who's her name?
You know what? I'm blanking on her name, and you know what?
Look at you right there, sitting there with the glasses right in front of the camera.
I was stuffing money down her.
Is that a real strip club or is that a prop set?
No, it was a bar, but it wasn't a real strip club. They had a stage. I don't think they have strippers.
Oh, but it was a real bar, though.
Real bar. I'm blanking on it. She was a musician. She was in a band. She was on the Warped Tour every year.
No shit. No,
totally blanking on her name. Really cool too.
No, it couldn't be Courtney Love, Kurt Cobain.
No. I think her name was Fallon something, and I can't remember the name of her band. But
Fallon Jack, maybe I've heard of that.
You know, it actually is something like that. Yeah,
Fallon Jack. I think not Gwar, but she was in like a metal band.
Yeah, this girl was in a metal band, and
Fallon Jack.
I guess she's had
Fallon.
Yeah.
I hate rubbing your time, man. Can I grab another 10 minutes out of you?
Absolutely, I'm having a blast.
Oh, you're so humble, dude. I reached out to you, and I get it. You're like, you know what I mean. You're a busy cat, and I was like, man, maybe I'm waiting for this guy's time.
No, not at all. I can't tell you how much I've been looking forward to this. My girlfriend went out of town unexpectedly this morning. So
can I ask you what state you live in right now? You're not in Maine,
you don't know? Oh yeah, I'm in Pennsylvania. I'm in Philadelphia.
Oh, so you stayed in Phil? I went to this past year. I went to where H.H. Holmes. I went to Eastern State Penitentiary.
I saw your picture. Yeah.
Oh, you stop. You did?
Yeah, I commented on your picture. I was like, you were in my town.
No, you did. That's fucking right. I'm a little buzzed right now. My buddy and me said, you know, we're going to go to Eastern State Pen. I've been to Gilmington, New Hampshire, where H.H. Holmes was. I'm not that I like people that kill, but I'm fascinated with that shit. It's
I am too.
They think he's Jack the Ripper. That's odd to me. So I went to his grave, Holy Cross Cemetery in Philly, and there's 2 Italian mob bosses buried there. One was killed by a nail bomb. One was killed by a shotgun to the head in Philly. So we went to their graves. Why not?
A lot of that in Philly. Yeah.
A lot of that. It's like, whatever. With the Liberty Bell.
A lot of mob heads here.
The Rocky Steps, the Liberty Bell.
I gotta shout out Rocky too. You know, not Rocky 2, but although I do have a screenplay. A friend of mine wrote a screenplay about the making of Rocky 2 that I
no way.
But so when Rocky was being made, you know, I was a movie geek and I heard about this movie shooting in Philadelphia, and I'm like, I'm 10 years old, and I'm like, they're coming to Philadelphia to make a movie? That's crazy. But it's a great movie. But more important than that, Stallone is actually a real inspiration to me, because there would be no Sylvester Stallone without Sylvester Stallone. He made his own career. He wasn't happy with the parts he was getting, so it's like, you know what? I'm going to make my own damn movie.
He was short.
Everyone else is doing that.
He was short. He was kind of bad talking. He was a muscular guy, but an Italian, kind of an immigrant, kind of. Yeah. It was rough back in the 80s and 90s. You know that, brother. Yeah, it was rough to be tough. I got to ask you a question. If you came back to Maine, would you be able to meet Stephen King with me? Would you be able to call him up and be like, hey?
I would. I couldn't arrange it. I can't call him. But if you had, He doesn't know me from Adam.
I was gonna say he must not know a lot of his people, and I think in his age. But I hear he's humble though. From I hear you
really
meet him, he's just wearing a bullshit shirt and just how's it going?
I'll tell you that when I met him, I shouldn't tell the story. When I met him, he was eating. He was like eating crackers and like.
I hear he's always eating something, meatball sub, crackers, sandwiches.
Yeah, I'm shaking his hand, and he has like food like flying out of his mouth. I shouldn't say that, but
I don't care. You don't care either.
He's I really like him.
It's funny because I not to cut you off, but I met you through the Pet Cemetery site, and I knew you off that, and I kind of grew on you towards that because I'm a king head. Yeah. But you that really is, and I'm not trying to undermine it at all, but that's a footnote in what you've done.
Yeah, it is.
Really.
Although, I teach, I teach college classes. And
that's what I'm saying. You teach a lot of places.
I do. I mentioned in class yesterday.
Online,
I said something about working on Pet Cemetery in class yesterday, and this girl was like, "No way." She was like, "So I totally scored points with her."
Well, you gotta admit it's a cult classic. The original's way better than. I mean, the new one's great. I love the plot twist. The girl dies.
Yeah.
What do you feel about that?
I don't think I saw the remake. I don't think I saw
really the girl dies this time instead.
I knew that. I heard that. And then they did a sequel to the remake.
Well, yeah, the Pet Cemetery 2, the kid from Terminator 2's in it, and the father's a cop, and he kills a kid with a dirt bike, and it's great. I own it but it's not associated with King. But I've been to the original Pet Cemetery where the girl had the sign up. I've been to the one where you guys shot in Ellsworth behind the Elks Lodge. I've been to everything but the Micmac, and I live that. That's my YouTube channel.
You should get to the Micmac school. Oh, now here's a piece of trivia you might not know. So you've been to where the Crandall house is.
Right across from the Hancock. Yeah, Hancock.
Oh, and the Creed house too.
Right across, yeah.
So in the front yard of the Creed house, they have this giant tree, like an apple tree or something.
It's gone now. It's just a little grass knoll with the rocks around it.
Okay, because it wasn't originally there.
They brought it for the set with a tire swing when the girl fell off and it snapped. And if you watch the thing, I talked to the owner, she goes, "That was gone." She goes, "That was gone years ago." They're not the original owners. People own it now. Only bought it like 5 years ago.
Oh, okay.
But the house is yellow with a red roof. God damn it, still the same color.
And you know what? Another little tidbit from the set though was, well, you know what it's like in Maine in August. The leaves start turning colors.
And yes, foliage, the apples start coming up. It's warm, but I tell you what, dude, you know this, brother, and I don't need to sell it. Maine's goddamn gorgeous. And I hear people like young people move here, but between Lore, Greenville, the Moosehead, I'd love to meet you and bring you to the B-52 crash site in 1963.
Yeah, I'll try to. I'm gonna have to find a way to get up there longer. I was only thinking going up for like
Dave. If I see a post you coming to Maine, you'll hit me up, Dave.
I will definitely do that.
I'm gonna defriend you.
At one point in Pet Cemetery, the leaves started turning color, and it was wrong for the movie because the movie takes place in summer. They painted the leaves. They took a green, like a shoot, like a power, like they actually spray painted the leaves on the tree.
I could have swore they had Thanksgiving or Halloween at the house. No shit.
Oh, maybe. Oh well, yeah, for this one.
But in the beginning, it was.
Remember, it's the beginning of school when Victor Pascal gets hit by the car.
So when did you guys start filming? Do you remember? Was it like
August? I think.
So it was late then.
I think. No, it might have been July or August.
Shit.
I finished Signs of Life. It was Black Fly season. Maybe it was June. It might have been June. But
you're a Maine boy at heart, motherfucker. I thought you just visited the place. I didn't know you lived here, brother.
Oh, yeah, I know. I have moved to Maine and back 5 times.
You still got kin here? You still got blood?
Yeah. I have my brother in Castine and my sister in Sedgwick. And actually, I have extended family, or my ex-wife's family is there. My ex-mother.
You said that earlier. That's right.
I'm still very close with my ex-in-laws, but my mother-in-law was born in Maine.
Well, you said that earlier. That's right. I remember you said, my bad.
And her father was a pretty well-known artist who was friends with Andrew Wyeth and stuff like that. And the
Wow.
grandmother wrote a book about living in Maine. They live down, do you know Popham Beach? Down by
I've been to Popham a lot. I
Oh,
love
yeah.
the forts at Popham Beach.
The forts, yeah.
All the forts.
So that little island, there's that island across from the fort.
Yes.
Yeah. My
There's a house on there
mother-in-law,
or something, right?
yeah, my mother-in-law grew up on that island.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you've got 99% reasons why you need to come back to Maine and
Yeah, I really do. It hasn't even been a year. I was up for a few days last year, but I'm trying to get up again this year. I'm trying to
after
coordinate.
Corona, when things were still kind of quiet, it's still kind of closed down.
Yeah, but I do love it there. Really.
I'd love to steal a day of your time.
Yeah, I'll try to make that happen.
Get a bite to eat.
Yeah.
Maybe go take some pictures, even in front of King's house. Maybe get you to sign my Pet Cemetery DVD. I'm just a local boy done good, man. Like I said, long story short, my mom died in 2019. I died in a car accident a year later in her car for 39 seconds. I got paddled back to life and never found the guy that hit me. I was homeless for 2 years after. We sold my mom's house finally. I bought a home. I live in Adams, Maine, right next to Milo, right next to Brownville. And I do my podcast thing. I talk to great folks like you that take your time.
Sure.
David Greenberg, an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes of your time. Fucking A, dude. I'd love to have you on again. Singly. I know we have Vincent all along, but I want to concentrate on you because you've done and you still do so much. With 4 minutes left to go, where do you see David Greenberg at this time next year in 2024?
Ooh, good question.
Eat that.
Yeah. Well, I have this film that's out on the festival circuit, and we were offered a distribution deal yesterday, and the director turned it down. Wasn't enough money. So I want to see that get out there and make some money because I didn't get paid for it. I only get paid when the movie starts making money. I would like to have another film going. And I mean, I'm supposed to be doing a horror anthology in the fall. With this, it's like one film, but it's made up of like 5 short films. So,
like Creep Show. I love that.
Yeah, exactly, like Creep Show. So there's this horror film. It's all written.
Is it the one in Maine?
No, this is. I think they're going to shoot in Jersey.
So this is a possible second production.
This is another production. It's all takes place in one house, and every film is a room in the house. There's a short horror film that takes place in the bathroom.
Interesting.
Short horror film that takes place, in the bedroom, and I wrote one that takes place in the living room.
Ooh.
So, and I'll be directing that too. So.
Man, oh man, I literally want to call you my friend, David. I'm going to do it on camera.
Please do.
Can I text you sometime and just say hi on Messenger and say, hey, can I get you on the show?
Absolutely. I'm
not a creep. I'm not a weirdo. I got to check.
When you were messaging me earlier today, I was getting messages from this guy who I've never met in person, even though. Well, I think he lives outside Baltimore, but he's worked on some movies. There was this great indie horror movie out 15 years ago called Murder Party that I really liked, and he worked on that. But anyway, he hits me up, and he does not know me. We have never met in person. We're Facebook friends. We follow each other on Instagram, but he said, okay, you didn't hear this from me, but he said, I wrote a screenplay. It's basically, maybe better sit. He said, it's basically The Exorcist in space. And he's like, will you read it? I know, really? So I was like, yeah, sure, I'll read that.
Intriguing. I'll read that. Yeah. I love how you're not an arrogant piece of shit. I love how you're very cool with me. You weren't like, oh, what do you want my time? Like even Vincent, he was really cool with me, and I'm sorry he couldn't get connected. I'd love to have you on again as a one-on-one guest though with David. I love to
sure.
on you.
I really honestly I bend over backwards. It's not that hard, but I really make an effort to be a decent person because there's so many
life's too short, brother.
People, yeah.
I'm 44. What do I need to be a prick to? What you want to come on my show? Cool. I talked to Gigi Allen, his brother. He wanted $100. I go, maybe we'll talk to you later. Sammy Johnson, you guys, Dr. Satan, you guys wanted nothing. I go, I'm going to go with people that are free for now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't get paid to do this, man. I can't pay out of pocket.
You can get attitude for free if you.
My sponsor. You're very down to earth, David. Gene Tewksbury.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. If I'm passing through
Bangor. You come with me. We'll go to Kings. They're a mile down from Bangor. She works there on weekends. They got all this stuff. Seriously, we could do some selfie with Jean Tewksbury. She is the cryptozoologist queen.
I love that.
Well, I will go in cemeteries, but I'll go look for pumas and wildcats. I go, that's fucking crazy. Ghosts can't call your face.
Keep an eye out for this Squonk movie. I think it's happening. There's a guy directing it. He's like a low-level actor, but you've seen him and stuff. He's in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies and things like that. He's a musician. He's an animal wrangler, but he's going to be directing.
David, before we end the show, you got any questions for me? It's usually I end the show. I ask my guests if they got a question for me.
Where do you see this going? You've been doing the podcast now for a while. What do you see? Yeah, how about
it's always a bucket. It's always like, what's your bucket list? Honestly, dude, when I was literally living in a fucking RV with no power in the back of a flea market in Scarborough, Maine, I was a guest on a radio show, Paranormal King Radio out of Canada. I get hiccups. And I was a guest with Russell Pazzo, and right after the guest with his show, because he talked about me, because I always go to movie sites. I go to where like Lords of Salem was filmed. I go to all these places. I go to also places where like real murders were happening, like the Chameleon Killer, the Boston Strangler, all these people, BTK. And I was a guest on the show. The guy goes, "You want your own radio show?" I did a radio show for 6 months. I go, "I'm gonna do a podcast." I did this for a year. New York Times messaged me. They did an interview with me. And I started getting bigger guests. I've gotten H.H. Holmes' great-great-grandson. I got, of course, Sandy Johnson. I got you guys, Dr. Satan coming on, possibly bigger. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go for it. So now I get $10 a week. Gene, give me $10. I get $10 a week sponsor, which helps the show going. Pays my Wi-Fi, pays for the $25 a month for StreamYard. I'm writing my first book. $10 donation gets your name in my first book. I'm writing my first book. I do Stephen King tours now. I go to where like Storm of the Century was filmed, Graveyard Shift was filmed in Harmony, Maine. The mill's still there. It's the oldest woolen mill in America, 1820. It's still in production in Harmony, Maine. I go there. I go to Langley. So I figure I'm making a couple bucks. I'm 44, man, not married, no kids. I died once, no mom. I live alone. I got my girl. I love Heather Kennedy very much, my witch. But I live in Maine, dude. I do my thing. I've been to Iowa. I've been to all the Axe Murder House. I've been to Salem, Massachusetts. But I do my own thing, and I'm trying to make a name out of something.
I hear you. That's all we can do.
I mean, people like you, though, Dave, man. Not to keep on talking, but
you mentioned. I wanted to look this up. I just looked it up. So this woman I told you about, who's in Vegas now, but is originally from Maine. She worked on Graveyard Shift.
See, and I went to the mill, and the guy owns it now. And then I go, okay, so now I'm friends with one of the dudes that worked there. So I go to the Bangor Waterworks, and as you tell, Bangor Dairy, Maine's got the canals, which is the Barons. So I've been to the home of Pennywise with Lover's Leap. I've been to the White Storm, the big water place. I'm a Stephen King fucking nut.
You know what? Legit. I don't know if you asked me this before, but legit, one of my favorite vampire movies.
Yes,
the original Salem's Lot.
I was saying Nosferatu must be up there.
Oh, well, that's good too. Yeah, that's good too. But
Salem's Lot, they redid that. They redid that this past year in Massachusetts, and I think a bar in Ellsworth, an Irish bar. But Salem's Lot. Where do you stand on? What's the movie with the Kiefer Sutherland and shit?
Oh, Lost Boys.
Yeah, where do you stand on that?
I was not a huge Lost Boys fan.
Stop.
I can appreciate it on one level. But I really like Vampire and Vampire
Blade.
The other, I have to admit, I never saw Blade.
Fucking Dave, dude.
I was having babies back then, or my then wife was having babies.
Dude, if I could hug you through this camera, I need to meet you in person because I'm going to hug you. I'm going to buy you
I'll mention one more too. You think, because I've been in vampire movie mode for the last 2 years, because like I said, I was about to make a vampire movie. The original old school, I don't know, this might be before your time, Kolchak the Night Stalker.
Ooh, please mention me that later.
Kolchak the Night Stalker was a show. It was in the 70s, but in the 90s, it inspired X-Files. When they did X-Files, the guy said, I want to do Night Stalker for the 90s.
Ooh, please mention me that later so I can remember that. I'll watch it on the show tomorrow. If not,
First Night Stalker is great.
Okay, so this brings me into a question as far as real life stuff, because I believe in Bram Stoker. Not even that, but I believe in Vlad the Impaler in Romania. Do you believe in real life? Do you believe in Connecticut vampires? Do you believe in...
Well, okay, and so like I said, I've been in research mode lately, and so some people are expanding their definition of vampire. Like these people, I'm sure they have them everywhere, but I happen to find them in Philadelphia, who say they don't drink blood, but they feed off people's energy. I'm like, that doesn't count.
That doesn't. Sorry to laugh.
The Connecticut vampire stuff.
I love you, man. I fucking love you. That doesn't count. Sorry.
The Connecticut vampire stuff, I can see where it comes.
The Jewett City.
Yeah. I can see where it comes from, but I don't think they're vampires.
You don't buy it. I don't
buy that they were, immortal people going around sucking blood for life.
What about the European? What about the European lore? The whole European.
I mean, I think there might be crazy people out there who murder people and drink their blood, but I don't.
But you don't believe in the lore whatsoever. For someone who loves vampires, Dave.
I do, and part of it is, you know what? I think if it was real, I probably wouldn't like it as much.
You'd probably be one. Bullshit.
I was a vampire for Halloween. As a kid, I was Batman.
Okay, but I want to suck your blood, and you got the cape, and you're the guy from Wolfman's Got Nards. You're the guy from that movie.
Yeah.
We're gonna go over, but we're gonna go 4 more. We're gonna go fucking 14 more minutes. We're gonna go 2 fucking hours.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm good.
I fucking love you, you bastard.
You're making my day.
Thank you so much for being my friend.
Oh, sure.
More than anything, I'm just some stoner dude from Maine. A lot of people claim to call me and love me and call me brother, but then they talk shit about me and say that I'm just a big. And I'm just a dude trying to have fun, man. I love life.
No,
I appreciate you.
Yeah, sure. No, hey,
you're reaching out to me and tell me you're going to message me if you come up. I take that to heart, man. I'm like the bulldog at the door waiting for you to come home with a treat. I don't want everything from you. I don't want nothing from you. Just want your friendship and your time. Sure. Maybe an autograph.
Hey, believe me, I'm not even going to mention it because I don't want you to hold your breath. If I'm coming up to Maine and I'm getting together with you, I have something that is gonna change your life and blow.
I tell you this, dude. I tell you this. I like I said, man. Movies are my life. Like you, like you're a screenwriter, like you're a novelist. And I'm writing my first book. I'm halfway through, and I'm stuck. I'm taking time off because the goddamn writing's hard. Much respect to you. Screenwriting, novel writing. I'm writing a biography about my life, and I can't even write the fucking thing.
It's hard.
It's not as. It is hard, Dave. You're damn right in it. What do you do for inspiration? What do you do to say, fuck it, I'm going to keep going and not throw the towel in, Dave? Let me ask you that as me, from Adam the Historian. Let me ask you that. What do you keeps you going?
Good question. One, I know that B-movie trilogy Subspecies filmed in Romania. Believe it or not,
we'll get to that. We'll go ahead and answer that, but answer my question after.
Well, one, I do it for work, so there's
no. You do it for passion, right?
I do it for passion. That's true.
Thank you, Dave.
You know what it is? It really is part of that. Part of what gets me going keeps me going is it's really, like I said, kind of the only thing I do really well. Like most of the time, I'm just.
Bullshit,
dude. It's a little bit of an exaggeration.
You're a good dude. You could be a firefighter. I think it's because it's right, but I think it's because where your love lies, your passion, correct?
Yeah. But so I really, I said this to somebody recently too. I never feel more alive than I do when I'm struggling with a screenplay. Like I've had a couple screenplay doctoring jobs, which means people gave me their screenplays that weren't working and I fix them. I make changes and stuff. But, when I'm working on a screenplay, I'm like, well, what if I take this scene from the end, cut it in half, put half of it at the beginning and the other half in the middle? Will that work? And that gets my blood going. And I really, it's like,
you like a challenge.
It's a challenge. Yeah.
You like your back against the wall. You like can you do this? Fuck yeah, I can.
Yeah.
You don't like the easy road, brother.
Exactly. So yeah, when I'm sitting and writing, I know that this is what I was meant to do.
I can respect that. We'll get to Gene's question now. I just wanted you to answer that cleanly, and that's very cool. Gene, the sponsor, Gene Tewksbury, thank you for tuning in like literally every week, Gene. You are not, I don't give a shit that you're a woman, even though I do, and I know you love Kane, the wrestler, WWE, WWF. But thank you for all your support and love for the show. Cryptozoology, thank you for breaking barriers. She asked you, she says, I love B vampire trilogies and sub-series filmed in Romania.
Yeah, I don't know that
you
one.
As well. You like the lore, the history, Bram Stoker?
You know, and get this, my grandfather is actually from there.
Dig. Wow.
Most you know, 3 out of 4 grandparents were born in the States, but this one grandfather was born, and he was born. Nobody can actually, pinpoint where he was born because the borders kept changing.
Is that where your name comes from? Your last name?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of Greenbergs out there. Not in Maine, probably, but yeah.
There's a lot of green.
Yeah, but there's yeah, some people say he was born in Transylvania. Some people say he was born in Moldova. Some people say he was born in Romania.
Dave, give me this. Give me your bucket list, brother. Where haven't you traveled that you'd love to go before you go?
Good. Wow, that's a tough question because my girlfriend loves to travel, and I've just suddenly
have her say hi. Is she right there?
She's not. She went to California. Maybe she's no, she never goes.
Smart girl.
Yeah. But
what's your bucket list? Give me a couple. Give me one for the States. Give me one for worldly.
I want to go to. I'd like to go to Australia.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that? Family, friends?
Well, I had a crush on an Australian girl in college, but
it's the accent. It's the accent.
My I don't know if you have an iPhone, but my Siri on my iPhone, is an Australian woman.
Of course it is.
Because I had a crush.
Good night, David. Good night, David.
Come on, David. Come to bed.
What's one of your places to see in Austria? Is there like?
I want to see the big Ayers Rock, that big rock that's in the middle of the country. I also just want to suck up the culture there, and Ireland. I'd like to go to Ireland.
Everybody loves the castles in Ireland. Everybody loves the nostalgia.
I have this connection, this pull towards Ireland, and it's not just because I'm a massive U2 fan. It's
I forgot about that. I got 13% left on my flat laptop before we go. Give me. I love U2, but honestly, I love the Dark Knight soundtrack. Kill Me, Kiss Me.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Give me one for America. Where haven't you been?
Where haven't I been in America? Well, I have this fascination with the middle of nowhere, so I'd like to go like to the middle of Iowa,
again?
Nebraska or something. I just want
Nebraska. No one ever said Nebraska.
I just want to see what It's a couple years ago. I got hired to write a movie. A friend of mine who's a commercial director said, "Hey, I have a whole camera crew, equipment, everything ready to go in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Can you write something about Tulsa?" So I wrote a screenplay set in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Pretty good, but now they have. I don't know if you've seen the Stallone show, Tulsa King.
I gotta ask you, no, Dave. I gotta ask you, what the fuck did you write about Tulsa?
It's crime and drug dealers and
really the kid, but modern age or something.
Basically, if you ever saw the old Western High Noon, Gary Cooper, Bill Clinton's favorite movie.
No shit.
Yeah, great movie. It's a remake of. So in High Noon, it's about the sheriff is getting married and retiring, and he's going on his honeymoon. Then he hears that this guy who he put away is coming back to town on the noon train to kill him. And he's like, well, I can't run. I got to go back into town and face. So I wrote a script that is the opposite. It's the reverse. It's about the bad guy getting out of jail, coming back to town, trying to kill the the crooked cop who put him away. That's good. I liked it. That was a good one.
I like that because I don't think a lot of people, as much as I love Maine is actually used a lot more. You places like Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, they don't get Idaho, they don't get used much.
No,
and I think that's kind of cool with the whole lore, Billy the Kid. So you like a Western type thing? That's kind of in your blood.
Yeah, it's a modern Western, but I love every time I'm in Maine, I'm coming up with ideas for movies. I would love to make a movie in Maine.
Dude, I'm known locally as, like I said, Adam the Historian Ghost Hunter, and I work with the Warren Legacy. I did for a while. Ed and Lorraine Warren's grandson, Chris McKinnell, Annabelle, The Conjuring, all that stuff. Conjuring made a lot of movies, and I was the Northeast Historian chapter leader. And for New England, dude, when it comes to people in Connecticut, New York, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Maine, they hit me up, and I gave it up because I'm starting to get a little bit bigger now, and they didn't really help me out. Long story short, I'm not going to bash them. I'm still friends with them, but I kind of wanted to go on my own. I've kind of always been a loner, and I feel like I broke free of that, and I feel like I'm doing my own thing. That's why I'm writing my book. So if you come to Maine, dude, I'll show you the parts you haven't been to because I make it my luxury to go.
Yeah, I want to see the northern part where there's nothing. And
have you been to where Al Brady was in Maine, in Bangor, Maine, after Bonnie and Clyde? You've ever heard of Bonnie and Clyde? Guys, historians listening, after they got killed and Dillinger got killed, Al Brady from Indiana was America's Most Wanted. He came up with this Al Brady game from Indianapolis, Arizona, and they bought Tommy guns in Bangor, Maine on fucking Central.
Really? That's cool.
They got shot by Jericho Hoover and 15 fucking FBI agents in the streets of Bangor.
No way. Now, that I'm gonna have to look into. I actually,
do it.
Not to
film a film about him. He's buried in Mount Hope next to where Stephen King played the Reverend in Pet Cemetery. Al Brady's buried next to where Hannibal Hamlin, America's first vice president to have Abraham Lincoln. He's buried in Bangor. Bangor, Maine's a history plot. Come to Maine, film with me, brother.
I would like it. I actually, so if you mentioned Bonnie and Clyde, I actually wrote a documentary about Bonnie and Clyde. It was cool.
America's sweetheart.
A lot of research into Bonnie and Clyde.
I've been to their shootout in Dexter, Iowa. I went to the Iowa House of Vasilla, Iowa. I went to the first train robbery, Jesse James, in Iowa. Ames, Iowa, AMES, like the store. And then I went to the Bonnie and Clyde shootout where they stayed at a campground, and Clyde's brother got shot and killed.
Yeah.
And Clyde's brother's wife got apprehended there in Iowa, and Bonnie and Clyde got away. And that's big. You wrote about them. Their car's on display. I've seen that.
I've seen the car. Yeah. But
after they died, Al Brady was #1 gangster, 23, and he got shot and killed in Bangor. There's a big thing in the streets.
Wow.
And they talk about him in It. If you look at the It movie, when the kids walk through the movie, the remake of It, there's a big Al Brady sign. And you go there now, the where they bought the Tommy guns, Dakin Sporting Goods, it's Briar Patch Bookstore. I bought a Stephen King book there. Talked to the guy for a minute.
Well, as soon as I get off the phone with you, I'm gonna look into Al Brady. I'd never heard that story. I love that.
He's buried in the Jewish section. There's a Jewish section in Mount Hope Cemetery, America's second oldest garden cemetery after Mount Hope in Auburn. Mount Hope Cemetery in Bangor is where Stephen King was a reverend. Pot Cemetery. It's America's second oldest garden. Al Brady's buried there, America's Most Wanted in 1937. I've been to his gravesite. I would love to work with you. I will work for dirt cheap. I will work for literally a hug and handshake and an autograph.
We'll definitely stay in touch. All right, but yeah, good to talk to you. And
so good to talk to you. We're going on 2 fucking hours, 3 minutes left. Can we plug some stuff?
That.
Where can people plug it? David Greenberg, Vincent Gustani. Thank you for joining us. Vincent Greenberg, where can people find you? Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Amazon,
I'm on Facebook.
I'm
on Instagram. My name on Instagram is False Climax. Don't read too much into that. That's a screenwriting term. I know. It's a screenwriting term.
TikTok, YouTube?
I am on TikTok. I don't really make TikToks, but I watch them. There's some great stuff on TikTok.
I'll follow you. I'm on there freshly. I got 580 followers in like 2 days.
Really? Oh, wow. I don't have that many. All right. Yeah, I'll follow you. So
I'll follow you.
Yeah.
So TikTok, Instagram. Are you on YouTube, Dave? Are you?
I am on YouTube, but I don't really do anything.
What is it on YouTube? Just Dave Greenberg?
I think it's just David Greenberg. There's a lot of us out there. Professionally, I have to go by David J. Greenberg.
I fucking love you. You're a fucking good. I could have a beer and I could just sit there and talk with you and have a pizza.
I would love that. I would love to.
Where are you on? Are you on Twitter? Are you on Amazon?
I have a Twitter account. I tweet like once a year. But yeah, Amazon. My one book is on Amazon.
I'm gonna order it, and I want a fucking autograph. I don't want to hug.
Yeah, you got it. Somebody actually posted a link to it. Danny Perez put a link to it.
Danny Perez is he's out of Connecticut. He's with him and his wife. They do the Radicals, Radikals. He makes Ouija boards out of Connecticut coffin wood, and he tours with stuff. And they've had him as a guest. They drive around a big old hearse, a big black
so
hearse.
Cool.
Oh, good people. That. So with a minute, 30 seconds to go, David Greenberg, is there anything you want to thank or say?
I want to thank you for having me. It's such an ego boost when people think I have something to say.
I'm looking forward to this for a month.
I have been. I've been really looking forward to this, like all day. I didn't do well. I did some work today, but like I said, I literally was struggling with my printer for 2 hours. So I was like, oh, I guess I'm not going to the gym today. So
I love this cat. David Greenberg, I'm on right now. This is going to go on YouTube, Historically Haunted. It's a YouTube channel forever and infinity. This will be on, and even when I die, I'm going to leave it on so people can watch it forever. Facebook, and I'm calling you right now on film with 13 watchers still. I'm calling you a fucking friend.
Yeah, absolutely. Got it. We're going to
have that here. Don't bullshit me.
No, you
great
got
show, it. Megan Moles. Thank you, Megan. I've known Megan since I was like 4. Heather, great, cool. Everybody. Lilac, Wowkin. Thank you, Lilac. Lila's been watching for 2 years. She's been watching since the second episode.
That's
Never met her in Georgia. So, Dave, thank you for being a friend. I'm going to have you back on. This will be on YouTube, and we'll talk tomorrow. When you're in Maine, you're hooking me up, or I'm going to stalk you.
Absolutely. If I come to Maine,
don't bullshit me.
I'm going to try to see you. No. I have something that I want to give to you, and I'm not going to tell you what it is until we actually can meet in person.
Love you bunches and bunches. I'm on a hug and an autographed DVD, and the rest of that's a gift. So thank you guys for watching. Next week we have, I forget, he's an author. He writes books. After that we have Dr. Satan from Rob Zombie's A House with Thousands of Corpses. Dean Greenberg, the original Pet Cemetery. He also writes so much. He writes books. He's an author. He writes on so many things. Check him out. Google him. It's not hard to find. Thank you, historian.